From the shining domicile that is Pittsburgh Comics, my old mannered comic shop owner, Colin McMahon, transforms into the world's greatest comic book talking TV host. Join us true believers for Comics Now!
Hey everybody, welcome to Comics Now for October 2023. Fall is here, there's a chill in the air, hockey's back, and we're getting pumpkin spice comics. Oh wait, no, don't give them any ideas, that'll be next. But lots of good stuff is going on. It's my favorite time of year and I'm just giddy. There's a lot of great comics coming out. For book club, it's October 27th at 7 o'clock. We're doing a book called Dark Ride, which is a new one by Josh Williamson about a demonic amusement park. And keeping in the horror theme, we're focusing on James Tynion graphic novels to start the month off. He's got a ton of horror stuff, including Nice House on the Lake and lots of other stuff. So take a look at the display Tim made of all of Tynion's fantastic graphic novels. Now, I said there's a lot of good stuff coming out, so let's get right to it. And we're going to start with DC Comics. Starting off from DC Comics as a book no one ever thought they would see. It is Justice League versus Godzilla versus King Kong. It's going to be a spectacle. Clark Kent is enjoying a night off with a very important dinner planned with his girlfriend Lois Lane, when the entire city shudders under the weight of the monstrous Godzilla, who emerges from the bay. What started as a routine clash between the Justice League and the Legion of Doom takes a dangerous turn when the wall between worlds is breached, with Godzilla, Kong, and the Monsterverse emerging on DC's Earth. What ensues will be a brawl of unprecedented scale and destruction. And going back to normal kind of comics, we have the Batman Catwoman Gotham War that's continuing in Batman 138, Catwoman 58, and Red Hood 2. And then it's ending in Batman Catwoman Gotham War Scorched Earth. The final chapter of this epic crossover is here, and Batman and his family must find a way to overcome the endgame of an ancient enemy. Can the Bat and the Cat set their differences aside? Is this the end for the Bat family? Lives change forever in this action-packed conclusion. There's also a bunch of Justice Society type books coming out. The first is Wesley Dodds, The Sandman #1. This is Robert Venditti and Riley Rossimo. He appeared during Night Terrors as a zombie version of himself, but now we're getting a book featuring the living Wesley Dodds. No one escapes the Sandman's dark dreams, not even Wesley Dodds himself. After years of testing and experimentation, Wesley perfected his sleep gas as the optimal weapon to fight crime without causing undue harm. But when his journal detailing all his failed and far more deadly formulas is stolen, the Sandman must hunt down the thief and the people in the shadows pulling the strings before the contents of the journal are released. We also have Jay Garrick, The Flash. This is written by Jeremy Adams, who did the last Flash series. It's spinning out of the events of Stargirl, The Lost Children, and Justice Society of America. Jay Garrett is reunited with his long-lost daughter, Judy. After being pulled from the timeline, Judy returns to a world where she and her dad aren't the only ones that ride the lightning. But is there enough space for her in Jay and Joan's life? And can they keep up with their teenage daughter and make up for lost time? We also have Alan Scott, the Green Lantern. Alan Scott's early days as the Green Lantern are seen in a new light. The Green Lantern is the most powerful member of the Justice Society of America, beloved by all of America, but his personal life is a well-kept secret. This is a story about love, about fear, and most of all, about courage to stand up to that fear. Alan Scott's past is the key to his future when the Red Lantern appears, ready to strike down the mighty Green Lantern. Also spinning out of the events in Wonder Woman, we have Amazon's Attack. After the shocking events of Wonder Woman, the Amazons are now fighting for a world that no longer wants them. Led by their fearless queen Nubia, a ragtag group of Amazons featuring Wonder Girl and Faruka frantically search for answers as their existence and way of life are threatened. Will the tribe survive their new reputation? We also have a Supergirl special. After joining the Superman family in their heroic effort in Metropolis, Kara thought she had found her place in the world. But there's only room in town for one Supergirl, and Power Girl's sudden reappearance has made her redundant. Her identity and role are both in question as she looks for answers. Will they lead her out of the city or out of this world? We also have Aquaman in the Lost Kingdom special. Discover the shocking events that connect the smash hit Aquaman movie to the eagerly anticipated Aquaman in the Lost Kingdom. Aquaman balances his duties as king and as a member of the Justice League, all while planning a wedding. Black Manta is on the hunt for Atlantean tech to help rebuild his armor, and Orm plots to escape his Atlantean prison. We also have the Return of Superman 30th Anniversary Special. Superman returns after the tragic events more than 30 years ago when Superman met his end at the hands of Doomsday. Metropolis mourned the loss of their greatest hero and soon turned their attention to the search for his successor. 4 Supermen rose to the challenge: Superboy, Steel, Eradicator, and the Cyborg Superman. Each with their own strengths and weaknesses, they fought in honor of the original Man of Steel. Little did they know his return was just around the corner. To celebrate, DC has brought back the original creative teams for new stories set in the wake of Superman's death. It all begins with new Daily Planet editor-in-chief Lois Lane discovering Perry White's journal from the time and secrets he kept as he searched for who could be the next Superman. What could their discovery mean for the present? We also have a new Batman miniseries, Batman City of Madness. This is written and drawn by Christian Ward. Buried deep beneath Gotham City, there exists another Gotham. This Gotham below is a living nightmare, populated by twisted mirrors of our Gotham's denizens, fueled by the fear and hatred flowing down from above. For decades, the doorway between the cities has been sealed and heavily guarded by the Court of Owls. But now the door swings wide, and the twisted version of the Dark Knight has escaped to trap and train a Robin of his own. Batman must form an uneasy alliance with the court and its deadly allies to stop him, and to hold back the wave of twisted supervillains, nightmarish versions of his own nemesis, each one worse than the last, that's spilling onto his streets. We also have a couple facsimile editions coming out in October. We have All-American Comics number 16, which is the first Alan Scott Green Lantern, and Detective Comics 140, which is the first Riddler. Now on to Marvel Comics. Marvel Comics kicks off October with the book we've been hearing about since March, which is Gods. This is by Jonathan Hickman and Valerio Schiti. What happens when the powers that be meets the natural order of things? The infinite détente between the natural order of things and the powers that be nears an end. Old acquaintances are reunited during a Babylon event. The Lion of Wolves throws the worst parties. Don't look under the table. There's a John Wilkes Booth penny on the ground. What does it all mean? Read it and find out. We also have a new Captain Marvel number 1, because there's a new movie. We need a new number 1. The Captain gets a permanent glow-up designed by superstar artist Jen Bartel. And that's not all that's changed. Brand new look, brand new creative team, and a brand new status quo. Carol Danvers is one of the powerhouses of the Marvel Universe, a woman capable of harnessing the energy of the sun. So if you're coming for Earth, she's the first one you take off the board. Someone's figured out just how to do that. We also have one shot, Captain Marvel Assault on Eden. The Kree home planet of Hala has become a paradise under the rule of Emperor Hulkling. But when sentries launch an attack on civilians and start stealing children, Earth's mightiest hero must intervene. Half Kree, half human, and all warrior, Carol Danvers swoops in for an action-packed special just in time for the Marvel movie. We also have Ultimate Universe number 1, another Jonathan Hickman. This is drawn by Stefano Caselli. After the world-shaking conclusion of Ultimate Invasion, a new team of heroes bands together to save the future. We also have Spider-Boy number 1. This is from Dan Slott and Paco Medina. Here comes the spectacular Spider-Boy. Spider-Boy's secret history as Spider-Man's sidekick was nearly forgotten forever. But now those mysteries will be revealed while they embark on exciting new adventures together. We also have Sensational She-Hulk comes out with a new number 1. Jen Walters is dusting off her adjective and kicking off a new era. The best hero/lawyer in the Marvel Universe is going to remind you why she's so sensational, going up after her deadliest challenge yet. We have The White Widow. super spy, rogue agent, shadow of the Black Widow. Yelena Belova has been many things, but striking out as a hero in her own right is new to her. Now that she's finally free to choose her own path, who will she become? We also have a new Carnage #1. Every symbiote needs a host, and for Carnage there has only ever been one host who has made it feel whole, and it's time for a reunion. Jeff is back in the Jeffverse. Jeff the Land Shark embarks on another series of madcap adventures with guest spots from some of your favorite heroes. Whether he's orchestrating a pet shop takeover or solving a high-stakes mystery, like what's the best street food snack, Jeff is flipping his fantastic fins all over the Marvel Universe. We also have Marvel Zombies is back with a Black, White, and Blood miniseries. The Undead Plague begins here, and you know it won't stop until everyone is in its clutches. The first of 4 action-packed, utterly original, glorious, gory anthology issues features Daredevil, Spider-Man, Moon Knight, and many, many more Marvel heroes and villains beset by ever-growing zombie hordes. In a brutal, blood-stained world, can hope survive, or will creeping, gnawing, shambling horror win out at last? We also have a new version of Crypt of Shadows. Once more, as All Hallows Eve draws nigh, the dust-covered slab that seals shut the crypt, blocking out the sun and casting it forever in shadow, has cracked open to let the darkness loose, to prey on the Marvel Universe. Be they mercenary or mage, guided by law or rage, our heroes will face their terror, and they'd best pray their spines are sturdy enough for the job, or the crypt they find may well be their own. We also have Cap Wolf in the Howling Commandos. When Captain America is transformed into a werewolf on the front lines of World War II, he'll need the help of the Howling Commandos to take down a band of Nazi cultists who intend to use supernatural forces to turn the tide of battle. But can Cap control the skeptical, jaded commandos when he can barely control himself? We also have Hallows Eve, the Big Night #1. It's October 31st at ESU, so you know what that means. A Halloween party won't go as planned, and a bunch of powerless kids will be in a lot of trouble. Hallows Eve was once powerless and was once a victim. Now she's anything but. Her magical masks give her the ability to help, but Eve isn't a hero, is she? We also have spine-tingling Spider-Man. After a fight with Spider-Side, Spider-Man has taken on the most terrifying ride of his life. If you think you've already read the scariest Spider-Man story ever, you may stand corrected after this one. We also have a couple facsimile editions from Marvel. We have X-Men 129 and Daredevil 183. And we also have Strange Academy, Amazing Spider-Man, continuing that series of one-shots. The brilliant new villain, The Equation, has taken down Miles Morales, Moon Knight, and half the students of Strange Academy. Can the Amazing Spider-Man be of help? Now on to Image Comics. Image is kicking off this month with one of their biggest announcements, a new Transformers book. Transformers #1, written and drawn by Daniel Warren Johnson. The all-new Transformers era starts here. Optimus Prime was supposed to have led the Autobots to victory. Instead, the fate of Cybertron is unknown, and his allies have crash-landed far from home, alongside their enemies, the Decepticons. As these titanic forces renew their war on Earth, one thing is immediately clear: the planet will never be the same. New alliances are struck, battle lines are redrawn, and humanity's only hope for survival is Optimus Prime. We also have Universal Monsters Dracula. This is written by James Tynion, drawn by Martin Simmons, same team who was doing Department of Truth. When Dr. John Seward admits a strange new patient into his asylum, the madman tells stories of a demon who has taken residence next door. But as Dr. Seward attempts to apply logic to the impossible, his surrogate daughter Lucy begins to fall under the spell of the twisted Count Dracula. We also have Destiny Gate. Life, for the most part, is the product of decisions you make. For some, a wrong decision or two or more leads to a crossroads on the other side of the Destiny Gate. Do you fight for a chance to survive and start again, or do you succumb to your inner demons and end it all for you and worse, yours? In this ongoing opening tale, we meet Mitchell Slate at the height of the Great Depression. Down on his luck and heading home to a disappointed and desperate family, Mitchell's train ride veers off the rails and transforms into a macabre and darkly fantastical journey into his own fragile soul. We also have Hack Slash Back to School, an untold tale of Hack Slash by Zoe Thorogood. Slasher hunter Cassie Hack is only just getting used to her man-monster partner Vlad when she's drawn into a new case involving a murderous bunny mascot, dead kids, and an entire squad of maladjusted teenage serial killer hunters. We also have A Haunted Girl. Cleo, an adopted 16-year-old Japanese-American girl whose depression drove her to near suicide, is trying unsuccessfully to reintegrate back into her old life. But her struggles are just beginning as she encounters an increasingly terrifying succession of ghosts. Is she losing her grip on reality, or is the explanation much worse? We also have Midlife, or How to Be a Hero at 50. Reuben Kwan is a 50-year-old firefighter who's been afraid of fire his whole life. Instead of running into burning buildings, he pushes papers, living in the shadow of his father, who died a hero on the job. After 25 years in the LA Fire Department, he's firmly in the middle of an unremarkable life, until his new wife gets pregnant and a random act of courage reveals that Reuben is fireproof. We also have Nights #1. Supernatural creatures exist among the common folk, and America is comprised of just 31 states. It's 2003, and Vince Okonoma has lost his parents and moved in with his secret mercenary cousin and his video game making roommate when he befriends the greatest vampire who's ever lived. And that's just for the first 20 pages. Welcome to Florida. A new vision of urban gothic adventure starts here. Youth is wasted on the young. We also have Paladin of the Axes. This is written by Jerry Duggan. In the first appearance of Hector Smalley, a guitar tech known as the Paladin of Axes. He's working for the world's biggest rock band, and when he and the whole band are killed in a plane crash, it's unexpectedly just the beginning of his bad times. It's a sad tale of working yourself to death, literally. Now on to Dark Horse. We have Canary #1. In 1891, a mine collapsed into itself. What was the dark substance found 666 feet underground? Blending modern horror, historical fact, and Western lore, Scott Snyder and Dan Panosian have created a uniquely terrifying thriller with Canary. During the final days of the gold rush, one mining company in Colorado pulled up radioactive uranium, and then the mine collapsed in on itself. Legends sprung up about the mine being cursed or even haunted. Now the frontier is closed, the gold and silver mines have dried up. The country is becoming civilized, and yet a terrifying new kind of violence is suddenly emerging. Random killings, people going mad and murdering neighbors, classmates, without real intent. When a schoolboy kills his teacher with a hatchet, a famous federal marshal is called in to investigate. Also have Drive Like Hell. Bobby Ray had it made. One last big job, then it was Splitsville, set for life with his girl by his side. Then everything went wrong, and poor Dahlia took a bullet to the brain as they made their escape. Thing is, dear Dahlia didn't stay dead. Now Bobby's found himself plunged into the battle of otherworldly proportions, and if he wants to get out of Dodge with his skin intact, he's going to have to drive like hell. We also have Giant Robot Hellboy. Hellboy is kidnapped and hooked up to a massive mecha Hellboy for a mission on a mysterious faraway island, but the island might just put up a fight of its own. We also have the Headless Horseman Halloween Annual. This is written by actor David Dalmatian. Boils, ghouls, vampires, monsters, and creatures of all kinds, welcome. Take a seat, go on, fill the aisles, relax your fangs, and sit with us for a while. Join us in a macabre and magical journey through all the haunts and spooks that keep you up at night, for here we revel in the darkness and present to you a chilling, nay, petrifying experience as the Headless Horseman presents a collection of 5 terrifying tales to warm up your cold soul. Hurry up now, you don't want to keep them waiting. We also have The Midnight Show. This is by Cullen Bunn and Brian Hurt. A new supernatural horror series about monsters of the silver screen coming to life and wreaking havoc on a small town. Basil Saxon is a legend among horror fans. Over 50 years ago, he vanished during a freak accident on the set of the film that would have been his masterpiece. The cursed film, God of Monsters, was never completed and has never been seen. But when a film festival shows footage from the long-lost movie, classic horror monsters manifest to wreak havoc and terror on the unsuspecting populace. A ragtag group of misfits must band together to stop the most famous creatures of all time and send them back to the realm of celluloid nightmares. We also have Operation Sunshine. A group of young alienated vampires known as bugs plot to steal a magical object from ancient monstrous vampires to turn themselves back to human. Along the way, they uncover a sprawling monster underground, a top-secret plot run by the Elder Creatures, elite militant vampire slayers, and madness beyond imagining, blocking their path to humanity. And Stranger Things has a new miniseries, The Voyage. Captain Jacoby is too broke to reject a shady deal from a group of Russians looking to get from Alaska back home on his freighter ship, the Persephone. But things get turned upside down when a crew member gets butchered, and he suspects something far stranger is at play. Now on to IDW. We have Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. Don't murder the locals. This is small-town serial killer, upstanding citizen, and adorable brown bear Samantha Strong's cardinal rule. After all, there's a sea of perfectly ripe potential victims in the big city just beyond the forest. And when you've worked as hard as Sam to build a cozy life and a thriving business in a community surrounded by friendly fellow animal folk, warm decor, and the aroma of cedar trees and freshly baked apple pie, the last thing you want to do is disturb the peace. Dark Spaces is back with a new one called Dungeon. Scott Snyder and Hayden Sherman reunite for the next installment of Dark Spaces. A family moves from the rustle and bustle of the Big Apple to upstate New York. However, their father's dream of a quiet rural life are shattered when he discovers a dungeon underneath their land filled with torture devices, weapons, and a threatening message on the wall that reads, "Tell no one." Paranoia sets in rapidly as the father realizes anyone in his new hometown could be the dungeon master. Whom can he trust? And how will he keep this secret from his family while keeping them safe? We also have Ministry of Compliance. 37 years ago, Earth was secretly invaded by an alien force known as the Devolution. And they have been shaping the direction humanity has been going in ever since to prepare us to be assimilated into their empire. The Devolution has 13 ministries, each responsible for manipulating a different aspect of human life. The Ministry of Compliance, the most feared of all the ministries, makes sure all the ministries stay in line and remain focused on the Devolution mission. As it appears the ministry's mission is on the verge of being completed and Earth will be assimilated, things begin to go terribly wrong. And a conspiracy among the ministries breaks out. Now we have, coming from Boom, first one is Slow Burn #1. Fleeing a botched robbery in New York City, a junkie, her dying partner, and a dementia-ridden old man pull into a coal mining town in central Pennsylvania. Obscured by the caustic mist spewed forth by the coal seam fire from the 1960s, still burning. Trier is the perfect place to lay low, score a fix, and take hostage. Or is it? We also have Ranger Academy #1. If you had a chance to join the Power Rangers, would you do it? 13-year-old Sage lives on an isolated lunar colony with her adoptive father. But her days on the farm will change forever when she comes across a wreckage with wounded passengers, people from an academy training to be something called Power Rangers. For the first time, discover the amazing school where Rangers are trained and find for yourself which Ranger color you would join. We also have Abbott 1979 #1. On the eve of the 1980s and the Reagan administration, Detroit is burdened with an oppressive darkness, both political and supernatural. Dejected and tough tabloid reporter Elena Abbott, who previously defeated the occult forces responsible for her husband's death, must dig herself out of rock bottom if she's going to save Detroit from the Umbra one last time. And now we have Dynamite. We have a new Vampirella book, Vampirella Dead Flowers. When her age-old nemesis finally gives up the ghost, Vampirella is lured to his rural Gothic estate of Rockhaven to hear the reading of his last will and testament. There she meets the manor staff, the prurient assistant, the wild-eyed groundskeeper and his pensive young daughter, and the sinister, enigmatic Mr. Frey. Expecting a trap, Vampirella and her young companion are not disappointed, but they also get more than they bargained for in this thrilling adventure. We also have Army of Darkness Forever. Picking up immediately after the events of Army of Darkness, Ash chainsaws his way through the Techno-Army of Darkness in 2093 and defends the sacred isles of the S-Mart in 1993. We also have an Alice Cooper series. Legendary rock acts are finding themselves attacked by demonic forces. The police investigate, but there's little to nothing they can do to stop the problem. At the same time, Alice Cooper has a new album out and is in the midst of a promotional tour. It's great to see all the fans again, but there's a disturbing trend happening in every city. More and more of his audience appear to be undead. Complicating matters, when he goes to bed at night, he ventures into the nightmare place. When he awakens, he's in another city, standing before a throng of fans, where he meets the Archangel Gabriel. Gabriel tells him there's a great music club called Burning Meat, where the souls of legendary musicians hang out, watching the headliner, Lucifer, play his own personal style of rock music to the raucous applause of demons in attendance. Now Lucifer wants to take the show to Earth, and the only thing stopping him is Alice Cooper. Now on to the rest of the little guys. From Ablaze, there's a new one called The Prism. Noise pollution is crushing life on Earth. The largest mega corporation on the planet finances a crazy project called The Prism to combat the phenomenon, sending a musical group into space to record an album that will produce sounds able to push back the threat and save the planet. Sumerian is bringing back an old goodie, American Psycho. Step back into the neon-lit streets of 1980s New York City, where appearances deceive and darkness lurks beneath the polished surface of wealth. This blood-soaked exploration of madness begins the journey of an all-new psychopath as social media-obsessed millennial Charlene goes on a downward spiral filled with violence. Drug-fueled partying leads to bloodshed as Charlie leaves a trail of bodies on her way to discovering the truth about her dark nature. Archie gives us a couple horror books. We have Chilling Adventures presents Welcome to Riverdale. When Ginger Snap finds herself in the town of Riverdale, a town she's fanatically read about growing up, she's amazed by how wholesome and welcoming it truly is, but she can't help but shake the uncanny valley feeling she has with every new person she meets. How can everyone be this nice? And could the kindness drive someone on the brink of madness, if it hasn't already? We also have Fear the Funhouse Toy House of Terror, or Toy Box of Terror. In Riverdale, even the toys are terrifying in this anthology. 3 tales of dolls, robots, and puppets gone awry, all thanks to the work of a shadowy toy maker and a young girl intent on revenge. Distillery gets its first ongoing book, Gone. This is written and drawn by Jock. On an impoverished and distant planet where menial workers scratch out a living resupplying starships, the best place is to be gone. And that's exactly where 13-year-old Abby wants to be. Along with her street-tough friends, Abby stows away on a colossal luxury space liner for a better life. Unbeknownst to Abby, her friends are not who they seem. Abby suddenly finds herself branded a saboteur as she desperately struggles to evade the ship's deadly crew to stay alive. Mad Cave gives us a new one, The Devil That Wears My Face. The year is 1740 and the Vatican is in turmoil. Grappling with a profound crisis of faith, outcast exorcist Father Vieri is dispatched on a mission of grave importance to rescue a Spanish nobleman from the clutches of the satanic demon called Legion. But when the exorcism goes tragically wrong, Vieri finds himself trapped in a stranger's body and learns what horrors lie when the devil wears his face. Vault has one called Beyond Real. When struggling artist June is injured in a severe car accident that leaves her boyfriend in a coma, she begins to experience strange visual phenomenon. Soon she's able to see that we are all actually living in a computer simulation. June must set out on a journey of possibility and peril into the metaphysical layers of the simulation to reach the world's creator and save her true love from death. And then lastly, we have Something Crawled Out. Edith Eddie Miller has no great plans or great prospects. She spends her days sleeping in and her nights working shifts at a gas station. But when her younger sister fails to come home, Eddie unearths a web of missing girls and rotting bodies. The police prove useless, so Eddie teams up with her best friend, Rainer, on a desperate hunt to find her sister. The only thing is, Eddie believes her best friend might be the devil himself. So that's what we have coming out and going on in October at the store. We're doing book club on October 27th, doing Dark Ride, and we're focusing on James Tynion. So if you have any questions, the website's pittsburghcomics.com. Facebook is Pittsburgh Comics. Twitter and Instagram are PGH Comics. So thanks for watching.